All right, y'all, we're taking a look at this boudoir photography business today. Gonna check out its local search and its city search, see if either of them got BSS. We're back here in the GBC universe where we're taking declining boudoir photographers to the #1 boudoir photographer in their city, utilizing our North Star as always, FSIC, full spectrum intent capture. More on that, check the pinned post, home video, wherever you're at. And that's because FSIC explains why all boudoir photographers either rise or fall. And if someone's bringing in, their boudoir photography business is rising, they're probably bringing in peeps from the left side, the highest intent, all the way to the right side, the lowest intent. Peeps all coming in, or at least becoming aware of their business. And if a boudoir photography business is following, more than likely, some chunk here along this intent spectrum is missing. We're missing out on those people. So over on the left, we got the highest intent people. That's what we're talking about here with these videos, talking about BSS. These are people, social search on social media, and Google search for like boudoir photographers in their city or boudoir photo shoots in their city. And highest intent people, closest to the money, highest conversion. And over on the right, we got the lowest intent peeps, and it's actually going to be the highest volume of people. And we're talking about those on our sister brand called Boudoir FB Ad Doctor. We're talking about BLCS, kind of a niche problem there. And currently we're only working with boudoir photographers over there, running more than 10 grand a month in boudoir Facebook ads. All right, on to BSS, boudoir search sameness. So this one, a boudoir photographer has either 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. So 0 slots on page 1, we're on page 2 or deeper. We're dead. At that point, we're dead because we already know approximately 80% of Google searches never make it to page 2. So the people searching never even click to go to page 2. They are page 1 searches only, page 1 searchers only. As a result, this is who we got to get in front of. This is who we care about. We don't care about the 20%. They're going 10 pages deep. Don't care. We care about the 80%, the bulk of the market. So 0 slots, no bueno. 1 slot, also no bueno, because, there's 10 organic slots on page 1. If there's 9 other boudoir photographers, it's basically, 1 slot for each. And guess what? A buyer, everyone looks the same. Buyer's just going to be clicking down through. And, basically price shopping everyone, price comparing everyone, driving the price into the ground. So, we're not even seen as anything special. We got 1 slot on page 1. Buyers don't see much of a difference between us and the other peeps. So it's literally like, we got BSS, we got a problem. And that's because 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google is not normal. Common, yes. Accepted, yes. Not normal, no. It is not normal to have so few number of page 1 links on Google. It's accepted, but it's not normal. This is actually the symptom of 2 deeper root causes. Those 2 deeper root causes are 1, market saturation, and 2, the false belief of page 1 equality. Basically, everyone knows what market saturation is. Seems like every week someone's getting a new iPhone, throwing out their Google My Business profile, throwing out their website saying they now do boudoir photo shoots, competing with us for page 1, ranking on page 1. And then, or someone getting a new camera and then they're posting in the mom Facebook groups that they now do boudoir photo shoots as well. So that's market saturation. Also, big market saturation happened during COVID. A lot of people lost their jobs, couldn't work, couldn't earn money, but still need to earn money. And guess what? Everyone's got a smartphone with a great camera on it. So very easy for tons of boudoir photographers to enter the market, which means an increase in supply, increase in sellers. For the same number of buyers, demand remains the same. And guess what? We are making it harder for every buyer or every seller to get buyers if there's more sellers than the same number of buyers. And the biggest thing, though, here's number 2, the false belief of page 1 equality. So this false belief, page 1 equality, is when people incorrectly believe that, every boudoir photographer gets either, 0 or 1 slots on page 1, and when they, basically when they, a new boudoir photographer comes in, maybe they're on page 1, originally they're on page 1, a new boudoir photographer gets ranked above, then they get kicked off to page 2, and they're thinking, oh, that's simply how it is, hopefully that person deletes their website, maybe Google will put me back on page 1. So it's basically this acceptance that there's not really much that can be done. No, incorrect, false. I know this for a fact. Google will actually give as many page 1 slots to any boudoir photographer who wants to put in the work to acquire them without paying for Google ads. And I know that because I actually went from 0 out of 10 page 1 slots on Google to 9 out of 10 page 1 slots on Google in 10 days using this new methodology that I invented. So false belief, page 1 inequality. The first thing is realize it's false. And we actually can take as many page one slots on Google as we want, which kind of like punches through kind of this brain box we were in. It allows us to see outside. Oh, and outside we do have one solution finally coming up in 2 pictures. But right now, we know that Boudoir photographer BSS is a disappearing Boudoir photographer, a DBP. So yeah, if we got 0 slots on page one, we're disappearing because approximately 80% of the marketplace that searches on Google ain't never finding us on page two or deeper. Also, for page one slot on Google Organic, we're basically looking the same as everyone else. It's gonna be price shopped with like 9 other boudoir photographers, driving margins down, and just really screwing everything up for us. So disparate boudoir photographer, this one they have BSS, and that's because it's the canary in the coal mine. This is the first sign, kind of the first flag that eventually the boudoir photography business will be disappearing down the line as well. But luckily, we now have the solution. So we know that BSS is treated with social search saturation, aka S-cubed methodology, and we know this because we invented it and we've already used it for ourselves. Now, S-cubed methodology, that's exactly what it said. It's exactly its name, social search saturation. We're going to saturate social search with the highest intent keywords, buyer keywords. So we pop up there. So buyer search there, find us first. It's kind of like the backside, the small streams and small rivers of the backside of the Andes Mountains in South America. And these all flow into the large Amazon River. The large Amazon River is Google page one. So if we successfully social search saturate, then we'll be rewarded with as many slots on page one of Google as we want to put in the effort to acquire. And as a result, we actually it's actually the only solution I've seen for boudoir photographers that's able to stave off and actually allow boudoir photography business to continue to grow without, even in the face of market saturation, even in the face of massive market saturation. Now, the only other thing that could do this is brand, but that takes like 5 to 10 years to, assemble. We ain't got that time anymore. AI is coming to take people's jobs. We literally got to get maximum distribution, kind of a maximum digital land grab now, ASAP. And so, price key methodology outcompeted market saturation, allowing us to continue to grow even in the face of it. Let's say we're in Chicago, there's a million boudoir photographers. Everyone's got a website center boudoir photographer, all trying to rank page one on Google, and we are saying, okay, the only way for us to successfully compete is we got to crank S-cubed methodology to the max. That's exactly what we do. We saturate social search with the highest intent keywords, and we take like the first 300 slots across all social networks for, let's say for those highest intent keywords. Now, let's also say this now flows onto Google, the Amazon River, and we're taking up the first 300 organic slots, Google organic search for those keywords as well. And every page on Google is 10 organic slots. So we're basically working on taking over 30 first 30 pages of Google. So essentially for anyone to find our competitors, they literally got to scroll 300 places on social search or Google search. They got to go to page 31 on Google search. And dude, if approximately 20% of peeps are going to a Google page 2, basically ain't no one going to Google page 31. And so whenever a buyer searches their high intent buyer keywords, then what happens is we show up everywhere, and basically kicked all of our competitors out of the building. So even though there's a million boudoir photographers in Chicago, whose business is growing? Ours, because we cranked S-cubed methodology to the max, took over all the search real estate, social search, Google search, for the first 300 slots. And like our business growing, everyone else disappeared. They're disappearing. They can't successfully compete with us. And so again, this is why I said this is the only, and this happens a lot faster than brand. That's why I said it's the only thing I've seen that can successfully outcompete market saturation and continue to grow boudoir photography business. That doesn't require ads, because ads, their momentum goes to zero once you stop spending. S-cubed methodology has a momentum to it. It's not infinity momentum, but it's way more momentum than zero momentum once you stop spending on it. Now, once you're with S-cubed methodology, we have page one visibility, a bonus, kind of an initial benefit. Get more slots on Google. We're also kicking competing boudoir photographers off page one of Google, effectively making them invisible. They're relegated to page 2 or deeper, and we already know approximately 80% of boudoir or of Google searches never even reach page 2. They're page one searchers only. So we're kicking them 4 out of the 5 buyers. Ain't even gonna see them. So that's an initial benefit. In addition to us getting more slots, we're getting price shopped against way less people because 4 out of 5 boudoir searchers ain't going to page 2 anyway. Approximately 4 out of 5. Now, page 1 visibility activates boudoir search visibility for us, BSV. This is where we actually want to. This is where our GBC recommended. You know, we want to hit. GBC recommends a minimum of 3 out of 10 Google page 1 slots. So 3 out of 10, and as a result, we feel like that's where we can comfortably say, all right, well, most likely at least treading water here, maintaining, most likely not disappearing, and the highest probability is we're actually growing the business once we're getting 3 out of 10. And 3 out of 10, if everyone else is one slot, man, a boudoir buyer seeing us with 3, they're gonna be like, why does Google keep recommending this person over and over and over again? They may only click us and not even click any of our competitors on that search. And then there's always a tiny chance someone will have 2 slots. So if we get to 3 out of 10 slots, we're good. It's basically like, if we get 3 out of 10, we're basically dominating 99.9% of all cases. And a boudoir photographer with BSV is a visible boudoir photographer, a VBP. So it's our full universe here. A disappearing boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness caused by market saturation and the false belief of page 1 equality, previously unknown false belief of page 1 equality. But finally, thankfully, we have a solution. Thank the universe. We got S-cubed methodology now. We achieve page 1 visibility, and we become visible boudoir photographers with boudoir search visibility. So it's our micro universe here. Now we're going to check out my results using S-cubed methodology. So I wanted to rank for the keyword BLCS boudoir. So I went and I used S-cubed methodology, social search saturation, and see organic slot 1, Instagram, me. Slot 2, me. Slot 3, me. Slot 4, me. Slot 5, me. Slot 6, me. Slot 7, me. Slot 8, me. Slot 10, me. So I did this in 10 days, went from 0 out of 10 slots Google page 1 to 9 out of 10 slots Google page 1. And this was purely using our S-cubed methodology. Now, onto the main event here. We got our boudoir photography business. Going to check on them and, their local search, their city search, page 1 on Google. Well, we want to see. And actually, I got to bring these over. So we're going to Carefree, AZ. Yeah, I do remember looking at that Northeast Phoenix and then Phoenix, Arizona. All right, let's go over here. Boom. All right. Let's see what we got. Boom, we got one. Oh, Scottsdale. Okay, I think that's a part of Phoenix. So, boom, got one. Boom, we got 2. Perfect. I don't believe that's her. Okay, boom, we got 3. Boom, we got 4. Boom, we got 5. Boom, we got 6. Awesome, dude. 6 out of 10. So we overcome. We do not have BSS, and we have achieved the GBC recommended minimum 3 out of 10. Perfect. That's exactly what we want to see boudoir photography businesses doing for the best chance for themselves. And now, we gotta go to Phoenix actually. Phoenix. All right, so city's always harder to rank for because there's more peeps competing, more keyword momentum. All right, we got one. All right, so we do got BSS for, all right, so we got, we do not have BSS, and we did hit the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 for the local search, and we do not, we got BSS for the city search, which city is always harder. Right? There's way more overlapping people trying to rank there. And we did not hit the recommended GBC minimum of 3 on the city search, which is actually normal. I don't know if, unless it's a small city or kind of a small town, I don't know if I've seen anyone hit that yet, or maybe like 1 or 2. Very difficult though. So if you are a disappearing boudoir photographer, you've got BSS, you did your local search and your city search, and you saw, you only got either 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google, and or you have not hit the GBC minimum, recommended minimum of 3 out of 10. slots on page one. And you understand the page one equality belief, and now you're like, oh yeah, obviously that's false, when we didn't really even think about it before, because now we see how I got 9 out of 10 on page one on Google organic search results. And you understand the market saturation, yeah. New iPhones, new boudoir photographers, new camera, new boudoir photographers. But you're also seeing AI take more and more people's jobs, and you're like, okay, like COVID brought in a flood of boudoir photographers. AI is taking more people's jobs, probably going to bring in a flood of boudoir photographers as well. So you want to prepare for the influx of supply of sellers by kind of fortifying your page one Google presence. So essentially, never allow those people joining to show up page one on Google. And you see SQ's methodology, and you're like, yes, finally, I've been waiting for something like this. So you know you want to use SQ's methodology to achieve page one visibility, become a visible boudoir photographer, achieve boudoir search visibility. And also you want the back-end bonuses of using SQ's methodology as well, which we haven't talked about yet, we'll talk about now, which is we're basically building thematic keyword columns via social and on Google that are kind of columns plugged into our brand, our basically the name of our business, our social handles. And those thematic keyword columns, guess what? They increase the probability we show up here in the AI overview. They increase the probability we show up in AI search like ChatGPT search, Claude search, Perplexity search, Microsoft Copilot search, Google Gemini search. Increasing the probability there. And last time I did ChatGPT search for boudoir photographers in the city, recommended me, it only gave me 3. And AI search is increasing every single day, more and more people use an AI search every single day. Still, Google is about 90% search volume, but we're kind of pre-positioning ourselves AI search, which SQ methodology helps with. And kind of once we build this kind of back-end invisible momentum, these thematic keyword columns that plug into all these, basically prevent people ranking on page one against us and build up keep building up and increase our probability of showing up across all these AI searches. And you decide you want to be a first mover because this has got to get done. Start building up this momentum because again, ads momentum goes to 0 when you stop spending. This momentum will continue ongoing. Basically, these have momentum, not infinite momentum, but you decide you want to start the momentum and then keep growing the momentum, actually dominate page one. And you also see that the further you put yourself ahead of the competition now, when AI starts basically kind of forcing people to become boudoir photographers, you'll be well positioned to be unaffected by it because you've already built up page one domination, which is like, dude, that's like seven out of 10 slots or more. Page one Google, 8 out of 10 slots or more. And being recommended AI search, putting distance between you and everyone else. And you want to basically guarantee that you put so much distance, nobody can catch up. Instead of a competitor working with me, where plan right now is to only work with one person per city. Instead of a competitor getting all these kind of momentum bonuses and page one slots where then you would have to actually, if I were to continue work with them, you would have to rederive the S-cubed methodology on your own, figure out how to actually get it to work. And then you will never actually know if you're doing it correctly, how we've done it. And then kind of, you'd have to equal our output to maintain the distance kind of behind your competitor that I could be working with. And you'd have to kind of double our output to actually make up that lost ground and build back up the momentum and take it from us. So you've decided, well, it's better to simply become the first mover here. So we get all the benefits, none of the drawbacks. So if you want all these benefits, shoot me a DM when I open for new patient intake. I'm not currently open for new patient intake, so even if you want to work with me, you cannot. But when I do open up the hospital for new patient intake, shoot me a DM and we will see if you qualify.